Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video, which is partially why there's a bit of a different title that I have for the video, and that's going to be my thoughts about Nod Krai, as well as what I want to see, what I hope to see, and just overall my thoughts about what could come in the next patch. So right off the bat, I want to say this is not based off any sort of evidence or really any sort of leaks that I have. It's just stuff that I would like to see from like previous patches that goes into Nod Krai as well. So first up, we're going to do, I hope editor throws in something cool there, is map exploration. I really want to see them continue doing the treasure compass thing, where once you get your reputation stuff out of the way, you can get your treasure compass as well as like a pair of wings or get your resonance stone. I think that's a pretty cool system. I like the fact that they expanded the treasure compass's reach, so it's a lot bigger now, and it also lets you know what is available for on the map, as well as what is on the map in terms of like trial runs, chests, um, trial run or not trial runs, time trials also will pop up as flags, but that's mostly because of the fact that it's also notifying you that there's like one of the Mora chests nearby. Easier farming. We've gotten a pretty good sort of dealing to us of more chest farming as well as like material farming, but local specialties, character material, and talent books, I feel like it would be cooler if they gave us like an indication of like, oh, this talent book is in this chest, or like character material you might need. Like if there was a way to see how much you had, and then you could be like, all right, I don't need to farm anymore because I have what I need for that character. Easy to obtain items. Do not lock them behind bullshit side quests where you have to like unlock a gate, but you have to go talk to someone like all the way across the map and do a bunch of back and forth because you before you can finally obtain the chest or whatever the oculi is going to be in Nod Krai. They did it in Fontaine, and I absolutely hated it. They did it where it was locked behind this gate, and you had to do a world quest in order to get over at the Fontaine Research Institute. The other big one is don't just put them behind world quests. Allow us to like sort of get them, but then we can do the world quest. I think that would be a huge, huge W on Genshin developers' parts, because locking them behind side quests is just like, well, we want to finish our statue, but we can't because it's locked behind this. Or we want to 100% our area, but can't because it's locked behind the side quest. So honestly, locking stuff behind like side quest or world quest, I don't want to see that anymore. New puzzles. I would love to see some new puzzles themed around Nod Krai, like maybe one that involves lunar charged, or something to do maybe with like the Frost Moon Scions, like those sort of puzzle based ones. I think that would be super, super cool. Elemental totems, I absolutely love those. The only type of puzzles I don't like are the pyro torch puzzles, because sometimes there's a pattern that you have to do. So I would prefer that we stay away from those, but if we could do something similar with like newer puzzles, something similar to elemental totems, but with like a unique feature. So it's like lunar charged, or you have to use a specific character in order to unlock the totem. Not necessarily specific character, but specific element type that's similar to the elemental totems, but it's a little bit different and it has more of like a Nod Krai flair to it. I think that would be really cool. Waypoints being close by. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten into a new region and just been like so annoyed because it's like, here's one waypoint right here, but you have to travel all the way down somewhere else to get the other waypoint. I also would like it if they stopped doing the Statue of Seven just being in one area. I think that would be really, really cool. Like, instead just having one, and then it's like you have to travel a distance. I get it that the Statues of Seven are like the sort of main waypoints, and you would have to put them in different areas. But if we could maybe, instead of just one, maybe two, I think that would work really well. NPC voice lines. Giving World Quest NPCs actual voice actors would make the quest feel way more immersive. And what I mean by that is not necessarily every NPC for a World Quest, but if we could give more opportunities for a voice actor to voice act in one of the World Quests, I think that would be really cool. It feels a lot more immersive because it's not just you see the dialogue and then just see it running across the screen, and the character you're talking to is not saying anything. All you can see just down below is the subtitles. I think it would be really cool if there was more of an opportunity given to the World Quest NPCs to actually have voice lines. Next up, the next thing I'm going to talk about is quests. Easy to understand main quest. I don't like it when the quests feel like they take forever to complete. It almost feels generic, and it feels like it just drones on. It does not feel immersive at certain points, because when you have the quests that just feel like a bunch of back and forth fighting, yes, I get a lot of people enjoy that, but it's like when it's like fighting multiple waves of enemies, and it's like you're getting dialogue, fighting, and a bunch of back and forth. I do not care for that stuff at all. I really dislike that. I love the more immersive, like cutscenes, like world building, that sort of thing is awesome. When we get to hear like lore about characters within the world quest is one of my favorite things. It's one thing to make the quest about a certain character. It's another to just go on and on about stuff that's just not needed. Like when it's just going on about like character, like NPC background or that sort of thing, and it just feels like it's droning on and on, not getting to the point. That's where I kind of get annoyed, because it's like, I came here to play the world quest. I didn't come here to just listen to a bunch of dialogue. The quests don't need to be like 7 hours long just to explain the plot of the story. I feel like if they did a better job at maybe shortening them a bit, not necessarily rushing them, just making it feel like it gets to the point quicker. Not all this like dialogue and not all like just background stuff that's just really not needed. Like, I get it, character background stuff for like the main characters is really important. That is hugely important for Genshin. But when you're just putting in dialogue for the sake of putting in dialogue, it makes it feel a lot less enjoyable. And again, this is my own personal preferences, like my own personal opinions. I'm not saying this is everyone, but me personally, this is how I feel. Reintroducing some old characters. It has been up so many patches since we have seen some old characters. I think it would be really cool that they just happen to show up in Nod Krai and we end up like meeting up with them. I think that would be awesome. I'm happy that they decided to bring Yelan back. I mean, we haven't seen her since like Lantern Rite as of the beginning of the year. So, or no, I think it was last year, something like that. I get that Nod Krai is going to be its own place, but it'd be so cool to see characters from past regions show up and make an appearance. And basically, what I mean by that is just that, like, have those characters appear in Nod Krai that you wouldn't necessarily think would have a purpose or something. Like, they did a pretty good job with bringing back characters from like Fontaine. They brought them to like Leeway. They brought them to Natlin and just a bunch of that. I thought that was super cool. But when you don't let a character shine as much as they can, it almost feels like the community starts to get annoyed because it's like, well, where's this character? We haven't seen him for like 10 patches. So it'd be really cool if some characters we weren't expecting would make their return in Nod Krai. Filler content isn't needed. And I mean this directly. Filler content is one of the most annoying things for any of us that play gacha games. It almost feels kind of lazy. It feels like the events aren't thoroughly thought through, and most of the time the filler content doesn't have anything to do with the main story, so it's like just gone off in its own sort of direction. The biggest example that I can think of for filler content was the Makawa Flower Festival. I get a lot of people enjoyed it, but me personally, I thought it was slow. I thought it took forever to get to the actual point. Mizuki was not the greatest release for that. For 4.7, I believe. 4.7? No. 4. What was it? It had to have been 4.7. Maybe it wasn't. 5.4. I can't remember. But Makawa Flower Festival was probably one of those bigger ones that was just a big letdown for me. But yeah, filler content is really not needed. The fact that they have to add that to the game shows they could easily put more time into building a better story instead of giving people full update events that no one really wants. And by that, I basically mean that most of us kind of look at the filler updates as like, okay, just get on with the actual story of Genshin. It's like most of us, like 5.3, for example, they finished off with Mavuika, but maybe 5.4 was Makawa Flower Festival. I don't quite remember though. But it very much was like, oh, cool, Mavuika and the Traveler and like their epic sword conclusion of fighting the Abyssal Dragon. And then 5.4 just felt like, here's a filler update. It's like, really, Genshin? Like, really? And then 5.5 was not any better. I would not say it was... It was a little bit, but it wasn't as big as I wanted it to be. My personal opinion is that Genshin needs to do a lot more with expressions on characters. Like, more expressions from the characters. And look, okay, it's easy to do subtle animations with character models, but come on, Genshin. It's been 5 years since the game came out, and we still have yet to see any actual expression from the characters, excluding Mulaney. I do want to put that on record. Excluding Mulaney. Like, excluding most of the characters from Natlin, but there's a lot of just... And then just... It honestly feels like they're expressionless. Because there's a lot of like Kanichi doing this, or crossing his arms, or like when they say for the traveler just stand in like a cool pose, just on the hip, like really like more expression. I want to see a lot more expression, similar to like what Withering Waves and um some of the other gacha games are doing. I want to see more expression from the characters in Genshin. I think that would really liven up the game quite a bit. Why is my mouse not responding? What the hell? Why is my mouse not responding? There we go. Yeah. So I think another big one for me is don't put oculi. Maybe do like something unique to Nod Krai. I think that would really be cool. Like I don't know, off the top of my head, tokens that you can collect and then bring them back to the I can't think of the name. Krukake. It's not the workshop that I know runs. Like maybe have an area there that you can trade in those and get like intertwined, acquainted, primos, treasures, all that sort of thing. I think that would be super, super cool. But these are my own opinions. Let me know down below if you disagree with them. Subscribe so you don't miss any more content on the TRNXS channel. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this type of content. I know it was a little bit different than what I typically do, but leaving a like would be greatly appreciated because that lets me know that you enjoy this type of content. And yeah, here's to the beginning of Nod Krai in September. Till then, see you guys later. Bye.